Hey, what's up, guys? It is me. I'm back. Can you believe it? Been on a hiatus for a little more than a minute. Sorry about that. Stuff. Who cares? Whatever. I got a new internet provider, and that has gotten me out of the shit rut that I was in with uploading videos. And so we're back doing our thing. I don't know. A lot of things have been going on. I haven't felt like doing this. I haven't felt like myself. I haven't felt like the person that does this for a long time. So I'm trying to slip back into those shoes right now, right here, doing this thing. So I've got a collection update. I've got a absolute fart ton load of releases in the last 2 or 3 months or so. I want to say it's been like 2 months since I uploaded a video to the tubes of you. Ooh, that could be gross. So anyways, I hope you are doing all very, very well. And so let's just kind of ease back into the easiest thing that I do on this channel, and that's show you some of the favorite things that I've been getting in, bringing into my house that contain unholy metal sounds. I went to a Dungeon Synth festival. Yeah, here in Iowa, not too far away from my house. Couldn't believe that kind of thing happened. Really want to get behind that happening. Hope it happens again in the future. It was really, really cool. And one of the best parts about it was a guy from some label, Rusty from Midnight Dice, brought his distro down, and he had a bunch of cool stuff in there for really, really cheap. So I kind of cleaned up. And so I was kind of surprised to see this. In fact, it didn't really catch my eye. This is kind of a really boring, nondescript kind of cover. But this is Sijin, which is like the new iteration of Necros Christos, which is seriously one of my maybe top 20 death metal bands. But Necros Christos, their discography kind of lost me. And that triple album, I'd like to get a copy of it, but you know, I'm not tripping over myself to get it. The band was great, and Triune Impurity Rites was a masterpiece. But I never really felt like the band really progressed out of doing that. They kind of kept on doing the same thing, I think. So I wasn't all that interested in hearing like a post Necros Christos anything until I just wound up picking this up and listening to it. And oh my God, I don't love this as much as the first Necros Christos, I don't think, but I've certainly played both of these Sijin albums more in the last 2 weeks than I've listened to Necros Christos probably in the last 3 years. These things are awesome. This is their demo, Angel of the Eastern Gate, repressed on CD by Sepulchral Voice. And then this is the debut full-length Sumerian Promises. I want to say this came out in 2021. It was on a lot of year-end lists last year, and I thought, yeah, probably good. I don't know, we'll see, I'll get around to it. But man, if you're like me and you're kind of like sitting on your hands waiting for a reason to buy anything by this band, this is it. This stuff it's very, very mid-paced, but just deadly. It's catchy and just, it has such a gallop to it and an inertia that I absolutely get the most value out of when it comes to death metal. I want things that are clicky and chunky and brutal and have a little variation between different kind of styles to them. But it's all death metal. I guess the contrast that I would make between Necros Christos, hoping that you're familiar with that, and Sijin is that I think Sijin kind of feels more like thrash riffs, but with death metal drums and vocals over it. Necros Christos, like another thing I think that carries through from Necros to Sijin is the guitar tone is just absolutely sinister and perfect. and like all the Necros Christos albums sound like that signature tone, and that tone carries through super well into the Stygian stuff. Sumerian Promises, get this thing, absolutely rules. There are a couple tracks on here re-recorded from the demo, but like you wouldn't guess this is a demo. This sounds absolutely fantastic. And like, I don't think Sepulchral Voice is a label that's very well distributed here in the States, but I was really stoked to see that Rusty had these in his distro. So I'm not sure if these are going to be easy to find out there. I gotta think like they're not, sold out or not here in the States at all. But man, I really, really enjoyed that. And like, I want to say like, I love being proven wrong. I love when I think that something's going to be kind of boring or whatever, and just like taking a chance on something and just being like, holy crap, that was way better than I expected. So prove me wrong more often, guys. I love it. Here's a release I've had. I feel like this is the same story with every single album I got. I've known about this thing for 20 years, but I'm just never getting around to buying a copy of it. But that's what this is. So hopefully you got a chance to read my interview with Torod from Arctic Serenades in the Grim Tooth's Very Metal Things. I got a copy buried over there. I'm not going to grab it. But I did this interview with him, and it was really interesting. Arctic Serenades is this label that did maybe 20 or so releases back between, like 92 to 96, somewhere around there. And they were out of Norway. And they just had a really, really weird but kind of great taste for what they curated to release. And a lot of those things are like original pressings. I don't have any original Arctic Serenades pressings, in fact, but a lot of those things go for quite a bit of money. So I was happy to see that this Mordor release was reissued in 2020. God, this is going to be hard to read. By Witching Hour. It's a Polish label. And I don't think this is the original artwork. It's kind of like a different variation on it. But you may know the Swiss Mordor, which is like one of the very first funeral doom bands. I love Chete by Mordor. But this is an album called Prayer to ... And what you're getting here, to quote Ken from Ken's Death Metal Crypt, it is really, really kind of unique, very melodic death doom. But I don't know. Something about that just doesn't seem right with me. I kind of hesitate to call something death doom unless it's like exactly that. But this is slower death metal with a lot of melodicism and a lot of contrast between the leads and the bass playing. The bass playing in this is super prevalent. In fact, I would say really just like the overall tonality and the riffing going on is maybe like 60% guitars and 40% bass. So there's a lot of kind of there's a lot of interluding and harmonization going on, an interplay between the guitars and the bass, and it's really, really immersive. And it kind of it really sucks you in, and it kind of I guess distracts me at least away from any other like inconsistencies. It's a really, really polished sounding record, so it's kind of funny that this came out on like this kind of no-name label back in the 90s and kind of disappeared, but it's gotten a lot of resurgence and attention over the last couple of years, I think. But I don't think this reissue is on a lot of people's radar necessarily. I really love the colors on this. So yeah, I feel like this could have been maybe released. I'm trying to find a year on this guy. If this was released maybe on like a Nuclear Blast or something in '94, I think this would really be a super well-known and well thought of release. Okay, it was released recorded in '93, so '94. Yeah, this is just a really, really kind of weird release, and if you're looking for something that kind of has a cult underground feel to it, that is worth picking up. In fact, I got it on Amazon for like 16 bucks, maybe 18 bucks, something like that. We should get to what we're talking about, what we're playing in the background. This is my first time actually playing through this, I believe. seen this kind of going around on social media. Friends of mine have like been pining for copies of it. I think Simon from Explosive Action just picked up a copy of this, maybe in the last year or so. This is Askaroth, Quest for Eldenor, and I threw this on my wish list 2 or 3 years ago or so, and I've just seen copies go for like $50, $25, something like that. But finally, a copy showed up stateside for $25, and I finally decided to bite down on it. So I'm not super familiar with it, but like we're on like track 3 or so. Getting kind of like some For Altid, Demi Borger vibes off of this quite a bit. I am not sure where the band is from. Lord Lupus on vocals and bass. Yeah, I don't really know much about this band. In fact, I'm not even sure if this is a EP or a full length. 5 tracks. Came out originally, actually distributed by Repulse. So I'm not super well schooled on the Repulse side of things. Published by New Goetia Requiem Records. I don't know. It's out of print. I don't believe this has been reissued at all. But it's just kind of one of those forgotten underground black metal classics. I guess upon listening to this today, I thought this was maybe a little bit more of a Death Doom kind of a thing. But this is definitely like totally up my wheelhouse. So that's that. It's great. Got a real theme here going on, like going back to the 90s. So here is Enchantment's new record. What's it called? Cold Soul Embrace. Now, okay, I love Dance the Marble Naked. That thing is a 90s Death Doom classic. And my confidence in a band picking up the guitars again after 20 some years. I think Dance the Marble Naked came out in like 95, and here we are 2022 with their second full length. My confidence in a band being able to pick up that same magic and release something that I'm gonna love as much as the debut is pretty low. But Enchantment here have thoroughly blown me away. I shit you not. A lot of you guys know that Mark G with a Z, is a YouTuber, and he's in this band. And so Mark, like this thing absolutely rules. Great fucking job, guys. But if I didn't know Mark, if Mark wasn't a YouTuber, if Mark was a total scumbag, I would still tell you wholeheartedly that this thing is absolutely tremendous. So I guess I put this in not knowing a whole lot about it. And I couldn't shake the feeling that this sounds so authentically late 90s, mid to late 90s. And I was like, what is the story here? Like, I swear I knew without a shadow of a doubt that this music was not current. There was no way that these guys could just pick up where they left off and release an album that was this good. So I came to find out, ironically, that this material actually had been sitting in a box or something since back when Dance the Marble Naked came out. So I guess they wrote this stuff back then. It remained unfinished for 20 years. And now, for some reason or another, they decided to pick things up again and release this thing on Cosmic Key Creations and Transcending Records. And this thing has got to be on a lot of year-end lists. I think this thing is tremendous. Like I said, like it has the 90s sound to it through and through, but it has a super professional, great sound to it. The musicianship is stellar, performance awesome. And I would say my only caveat to Dance the Marble Naked is the vocals were an acquired taste, let's say. Here, that is a little less hard to acquire. I think everything about this is so well done with great sense to nuance and tradition, but just you can hear that the band is just so happy and having such a good time finally putting these songs to record, and it just shows. I just think this is such an interesting thing, and it lends so much credence to the idea of like we should be paying as much attention to what happened in the 90s and scouring anything out of that time period that could remain forgotten, to make sure that all that context and all those albums and all that time period is not lost, because that music to people like me in my generation is just so important. I would die without this kind of stuff. So Enchantment, thank you so much for putting out this album. It's super memorable. It's very, very catchy and just moving. It's emotionally stirring. And it's not often that an album comes across my table that does things like this for me. So that's going to be one of my favorite releases of the year. It's been a couple weeks since I popped this in, so I would probably like to stick this in again. What's weird about it is it came in this like jewel box kind of deal, which Peaceville kind of does, and I think Cosmic Key does, but mine got melted and it won't open. And it's not like I can just throw it in another jewel case. Kind of screwed here. So I don't like jewel boxes. Anyways, so next I've got another album, kind of like the Astaroth. Put it on my wish list a long time ago, having probably never heard it. Never expected to find a copy of it for cheap, and here we are. Anasarka's God Machine, also ironically on Repulse Records. You can pretty much pick up anything on Repulse Records, and it is definitely worth owning. And if you can get a copy of anything on Repulse Records for under $25, it's probably a steal. So, but this is one of the more, I guess, underknown, underappreciated releases on there, and I don't feel like a lot of people have this on their radar, like looking back to that time period. I don't believe it's been re-released, and I don't think this band ever did anything else outside of this God Machine record. I don't know where they're from. Let's see if I can just kind of read up on this real quick. Came out, I want to say, in 1998. They're from Germany. Okay, that makes a little bit of sense. So upon listening to this a couple of times, I was maybe a little less impressed than I expected it to be. I go to Repulse Records for like very, very brutal, intense kind of death metal or like gore grind kind of stuff. This is a little more subdued, a little more, I guess, like poetic in a way. Kind of reminds me of like a Cryptopsy, None So Vile sort of era. And it was good. It's just not, I wouldn't say the riffs like stuck with me. I wouldn't say the songs had any parts that I could remember upon listening to it for the third or fourth time. So maybe I just wasn't quite in the mood for something like this. It didn't like blow me away, but it's really good. I don't regret buying it whatsoever. And it deserves all the, the acclaim that it gets. Probably should be reissued. We've got another 90s album reissued. Kind of got a theme here. Funereal with The Misery Season. Funny enough, this is a Chicago band. This originally was released in 94. And it was, I don't know what label it came out on. Wait a second. I want to say this was recorded in 94. Yeah, and was originally released in 2000 by Cryonics Records. So kind of weird that it sat around for 6 years and wasn't released until 2000. But it really sounds like a 1994 death metal record. So this was a Chicago band, like I said, and this reissue came out on a Polish label. I want to say, yeah, Old Temple. Old Temple does some really great death metal stuff. A co-release with Gruft Productions, which is out of Poland as well. Chicago death metal, these guys are killer. If there's nothing not to like about this. If you like gory, chunky, fun death metal, there's nothing super unique about this, but it's a load of fun. The Misery Season, get a load of that. All right, Astaroth finished. So that is an EP. I want to say 4 or 5 tracks over pretty quickly. So what I did put in, you're gonna think this is Bolt Thrower, and it's not. I want to introduce as many people as I possibly can to Slug-a-Thor and their great full-length Circle of Death. Originally released on, I want to say, Drakkar. I should have looked this up and taken some notes. I'm just getting back into the swing of things. Anyways, Drakkar reissued this about 2 years ago. because the original was kind of getting a little pricey. Sluggathor are a Finnish death metal band, but as you can hear, tons of bolt thrower going on there, but with a more, I don't know, I would say kind of slowed down, a little more American kind of style to it. But if I didn't use the word bolt thrower in this description to you at least 10 times, I would be doing you a disservice. All of Sluggathor's stuff is pretty killer, but this is my favorite, Circle of Death. It's just generic bolt thrower worship. And they're a two-piece. I want to say both of these guys are in a bunch of other bands, and I've just always been kind of surprised that a lot of people aren't more hip to these guys. Maybe I'm wrong. So I thought the Chasm were done. I saw them live in 2019, and the word going around was like they were not playing live anymore. Maybe I just assumed that they weren't going to release any more music after that, but thankfully I was wrong. I guess I can't disagree, but this might be the best Chasm record at all. This is the best Chasm record as far as I can tell. I'm not super well versed in the Chasm's material. I've got 3 or 4 other of their releases, and I don't think they're like people's favorite Chasm releases. And I just have never really, I love the Chasm, but I've just never reached for them a lot. But this thing, once this hit my CD player, holy shit, didn't come out for about 2 weeks straight. I believe this is going to be on a lot of year-end lists for 2022. It's not a departure whatsoever from what you know the Chasm to be great at, but just the songwriting is just so excellent on here. It's really compelling. I think they're just great songwriters, and they write in a way that like draws influences from the elder gods of the 80s and like thrash metal, and taking that into like a current death metal kind of sound. They're just masters of their instruments, and they're just masters of portraying their stories and style and personality on their albums. And it's just so fun to enjoy a band that is consistent and reliable, and see a band maybe hit their eclipse so late in their career. Vic Records put this out. Pick it up. Absolutely rules. Oh, let's see. What else have we got? How about, have you guys ever heard of this one? Blue Nothing from your homie Worm. Okay, so this is a couple of songs that were left off of the Foreverglade full length, and one song that is new and is like a foreshadowing of the forthcoming style of the new Worm release. If you liked Foreverglade whatsoever, you're gonna love the material on here. It's the Doom tracks on here are no different from Foreverglade. But if you've been following Worm on social media, especially on Instagram, he just like every day puts out what he's listening to, and it's been really, really interesting to see what he's been listening to, because like you can hear that direct influence in his releases. And so like I can't wait to hear the black metal direction that he takes this in. He has now added Phil Tugas to the fray on guitar, and like I already felt like the guitar leads on this were strikingly calling back to Chuck Schuldner's spirit in such a great way. Pays tribute to Chuck Schuldner so well, and like wearing that badge of Florida on Worm's sleeve is charming. But I feel like adding Phil Tugas to the guitar foray here, he brings even more like Tony McAlpine, Joey Tafola, shredders, absolute shredders to this. And it's weird to hear like a doomy funeral doom band just throw so many just sweeps and flourishes of solos and harmonies all over the place without overdoing it. And that is just the perfect testament to their attention to detail in writing exactly what their vision is. Awesome artwork by Mark Riddick on that thing. And then Brad Moore, of course, did the cover again. Killer. So the last track, I think, is maybe the most exciting thing everybody is kind of losing their shit over. It sounds like Emperor. Anthems of the Welkin at Dusk, no way around it. I'm not sure how... I don't think I've ever heard anyone portray anthems so accurately. There's something about maybe the guitar tuning or what kind of guitar phrasings or something going on, but riff-wise, composition-wise, and arrangement-wise, sounds so much like anthems. I'm excited about that because I would love to hear him explore more of the orchestral arrangements to that style. However, I'm going to be really waiting to hear if he can like write songs as cleverly and as amazingly as Emperor. I don't think anybody can. I think Ihsahn was just an absolute prodigy of black metal in that time period, and he's not anymore whatsoever. But I just think his artistry in that specific time period, anthems from In the Nights That Eclipse to Anthems, is one of the most impressive creative visionaries in all of metal ever. So it's awesome to hear someone portray that style and pay tribute to that style super accurately. And I love how Worm just takes the whole template through evolutions every release. And I wonder, is it gonna burn out? Is it gonna wind up sounding like Abigor and then go, where do we go from here? Is it gonna turn into death metal from there? Like, it could go anywhere. I love watching, I love being surprised by watching the evolution of Worm. So, moving forward, I want to show you about this Dødskvad CD. Caligari put this guy out. This is a compilation of 2 demos. Dødskvad are an amazing Norwegian death metal band. Guys are in like Necromantheon, a couple other, I want to say there's like an Obliteration member. This guy is Twilight and a lot of other bands, but Dødskvad is kind of its own thing. They get a lot of comparisons to Kvist, who are active again, by the way. We'll see how that goes. But this is more of a death metal leaning Kvist, if you will. It's kind of hard to imagine because Kvist was very black metal, sounding like immoral in a lot of ways, I think. But this is very charming, and it's just like a 3-song demo and then a 4-song demo reissued on CD. And I guess the pressings of a couple of these tapes didn't turn out too good, so having this on CD is pretty awesome. I'm kind of lost at like what descriptors to give you to like set this apart from generic death metal things. It's not super outside of that template, but it is super charming. They add some keyboards here and there. It definitely reminds me of like a Cadaver, Hallucinating Anxiety, without all the weird stuff, I guess. It's great. Caligari puts out nothing but quality material. Here's another one I've been wanting to get a copy of for forever. One of my favorite YouTube metal videos is Dark Quarterer playing Red Hot Gloves in a basement in Italy in 1985. That is the best song. Seriously, one of the best trad metal songs there ever was written. I think Red Hot Gloves is just, it blows my mind how perfect of a song it is. And I've never gotten around to picking up a copy of their self-titled album. Dark Quarter are a really unsung classic band. I don't know if it just seems like their first album, just like really all their albums, I don't think anybody really pays much attention to these guys. But so Shadow Kingdom put out their debut with re-recordings of a lot of those songs. 6 of the 7 songs from that album were re-recorded in 2012 and added to this. So the debut, it has amazing songs on it, but the recording quality on it is kind of not so great. Apparently not even like worth salvaging that well. So it's got its charm, and I feel like a lot of people who enjoy Dark Quarterer are gonna love the recording that they know and have since '87 when this came out. But the re-recording on this from 2012, I feel is necessary and sounds amazing. And I feel like the spirit of that band is not lost whatsoever on these re-recordings. The 2012 version of Red Hot Gloves blew me away, and I'm so obsessed with that song. If you haven't seen what I'm talking about, look down below. I'll put a link for that video. It's just one of the greatest metal performances I've ever seen. And like, I love YouTube because that kind of stuff can be unearthed and shared with everybody throughout the years. A couple more. This was also in Rusty's distro. This is the final Niflheim album that I didn't have, Envoy of Lucifer. Man, I feel like if you love any Niflheim, you're gonna love all Niflheim. I don't know. These guys kind of rest in this area between being huge and underground. They're great. They deserve all the fame that they have, but I think there's just these periods of inactivity between their albums, and they've been inactive, I think, since this one came out for the better part of, I think, 10 years or so. And like, their stuff is so consistent and great. They don't have a bad album. So it's weird that they're just like been apparently working on an album for 10, 12 years or so. Great fucking band. I love these guys. It's weird though. I had their their debut and the second one. I had both of the Necropolis releases on CD back when I was like 18, and for some reason I just was like, fuck thrash, I hate this, got rid of it, and regretted the hell out of it. And about 10 years went by, and I was able to get copies of them again for very, very cheap. And ever since then, I've just like made sure that I buy most of the Niflheim releases. But for some reason, this one I just kind of never really got around to. So pick that up. It absolutely rules. It's the shreddiest goddamn thing. Like, I don't know. I say shreddy in a thrash way. Does that make sense? It's not shreddy because it's like technical or wanky. It's the most insane riffing that I've ever heard in like a black thrash kind of style. Niflheim are just their own thing. Amazing band. Last but not least, Rune Magic are a band. I also owned a copy of one of their albums forever ago, and I hated it. And I thought, fuck these guys, they are boring. But my friend Brandon convinced me to get their debut, I think. I should look into this. The Supreme Force of Eternity. This thing, I have a hard time describing this thing. It's kind of death metal. It's kind of girthy and chunky like a Bolt Thrower kind of thing is, but there's some great like classic metal lead work and melodic. They're from Sweden, so there's like a very Swedish melodicism to it. And they're very, very mid-paced. They're just, I think, there to write great steamrollery kind of songs that stick with you and just lend a lot of harmony, a la kind of Dissection, Sacramentum. A lot of that kind of thing is quite similar. But Rune Magic, I feel like, are kind of their own thing. They're not quite a death metal band. They're not quite a thrash band. They kind of sound Gothenburg-y at times. They're kind of like right in the crossroads of a lot of different genres, and I really, really like their style. But what I don't know is, like, are there other releases this consistent? Is this just like a band coming out the gate with a lot of vigor and getting lucky? I don't know. Century Media put this reissue out in 2019, and I actually had to import this from England, I want to say. But yeah, I put this on my phone a couple of years ago, and it never came off. I actually listened to this fairly regularly. It's super memorable and catchy and great. Rune Magic, I'm going to be listening to... What album should I go to next from these guys? Brandon, let me know. All right, that's going to be it for me. Trying to get back into the swing of things with the collection update, and I have some other ideas to work on. So, thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for watching again. Keep it metal. Woo-hoo! That was a great video. And it was made possible mostly by me, but also thanks to the never-ending, undying love and support of my Patreon subscribers, some of whom are... If you would like to be a part of supporting my channel and encouraging me to make more content that's as good as the one you just watched, join the Patreon. It's $6.66 a month, and I would appreciate your support. Thanks for watching either way.